Our movie begins at a park in Seoul during the nighttime. A young girl is searching for her doll when suddenly she spots a gigantic monster walking among the buildings. The girl lets out a scream, and the screen fades to black. Now, 25 years have passed, and we find ourselves in New York City. Gloria comes home after a night of partying. Her boyfriend, Tim, is fed up with her behavior. Since losing her job, Gloria has been partying all night and lazing around on the couch during the day. Tim confronts her, telling her she's out of control and points to the bedroom where her things are already packed. He warns her to be gone by the time he returns. With no job, no apartment, and no boyfriend, Gloria has no choice but to return to her childhood home in a small town. The place appears abandoned, with leaves covering the ground and no furniture. Gloria has to sleep on the floor for her first night back. The next morning, she goes out to buy some furniture, starting with an air mattress. While she's dragging it home, a truck pulls up. It turns out to be her old acquaintance, Oscar, who is thrilled to see her back in town. Gloria gets in the truck, and they end up spending time at Oscar's bar, which he inherited from his father. Gloria, who is trying to avoid drinking, feels uneasy with the amount of alcohol around. She scratches her head, and Oscar asks her about it. She explains that it's a nervous habit. That night, Oscar introduces Gloria to some of his friends. He puts a beer in front of her, and after hesitating for a moment, she takes a casual sip. As the night goes on, as expected, Gloria gets drunk. The group moves around the bar, and Oscar shows Gloria an area that he couldn't afford to renovate. He shares a childhood story with his friends, mentioning how Gloria always won the short story writing competition in elementary school while he came in second. Gloria dismisses it, saying she doesn't write fiction anymore, only magazine articles. Oscar goes to get another beer, and Joel tries to kiss Gloria. This causes Oscar to panic, grab his keys, and leave. Gloria, still tipsy, has to carry her air mattress back home. Along the way, she drags it through her old elementary school playground. She manages to reach home by mid-morning and begins unpacking the air mattress. As she drifts off to sleep, she dreams of herself as a child wandering through a darkening forest with thunder rumbling above. She wakes up to a phone call from her sister, who informs her about a monster attack in Seoul during the night. Gloria quickly checks the news articles on her laptop and finds footage of a giant monster appearing in Seoul for a few seconds before disappearing. She calls Tim, who questions why she's just finding out about it when the attack happened 9 hours ago. Gloria tries to avoid the question, but Tim realizes she was drinking all night and urges her to seek help for alcoholism. That night, Gloria goes out drinking again while watching the news footage of the monster attack in Seoul. She stumbles out of the bar late at night and falls asleep on a bench at the elementary school playground. In the morning, still drunk, she tries to call Tim, but he quickly realizes she's intoxicated and hangs up. Frustrated, Gloria throws her phone to the ground. Back at home, Oscar brings an old TV for Gloria. They carry it into an empty living room together. Oscar shares that the monster attacked Seoul again the previous night, but this time it didn't move around like before. Instead, it stood in one place and made strange hand gestures. The monster always appears at the same time, 8:05 a.m. Oscar shows Gloria a video online of the monster's first sighting 25 years ago in Seoul. At that time, people thought it was a hoax because there was only one sighting. While they set up the TV, Oscar asks Gloria if she remembers anything they talked about the previous night. She admits that she doesn't recall the details. We learn that Gloria opened up to Oscar about her financial troubles and her recent breakup with Tim. In addition, Oscar offered her a job at the bar while she's in town. Due to the news of the monster, more people are coming to the bar every night to drink. With the offer still available, Gloria gratefully accepts the job and hugs Oscar for his kindness. During the hug, Gloria notices the monster on the TV scratching its head, just like she does when she's nervous. That night, while working at the bar, she can't help but notice that the footage of the monster playing on the TV screen resembles someone on a phone, just as she was the previous night. Back at home, Gloria researches more footage of the monster. She discovers that in the first sighting, it seemed to be carrying something on its shoulder, similar to how she carried her mattress home. Putting on a jacket, she heads to the playground. At the playground, Gloria compares a map of Seoul to the structure of the playground. Several nights pass without any monster attacks. News reporters are puzzled by the unpredictable patterns of the monster's movements and appearances. One of Oscar's friends speculates, during a conversation over drinks, that the monster appears to be controlled by a remote because it always moves forward without pausing to look down. Gloria becomes increasingly frightened. She spends days developing theories and mapping out the monster's movements. One day, Completely sober and with her map in hand, she enters the elementary school playground precisely at 8:05 a.m. Instead of moving forward, she raises her arms above her head before hurrying back home. Upon returning home, Gloria turns on the TV and learns that, indeed, the monster has appeared again in Seoul. However, this time it didn't cause destruction. It simply stood there with its arms raised above its head, just as Gloria did. Now certain that she is somehow connected to the monster terrorizing Seoul, she calls Tim. During their conversation, Gloria informs Tim that she has found a part-time job. However, their discussion is interrupted by the doorbell. Gloria forgets that she's still on the call with Tim as Oscar and his friend Garth bring a sofa into the living room. They inform her that it's time for work, and she realizes she needs to attend to her new job. One evening after work, Gloria, Oscar, and their friends gather for a drink. In a spur-of-the-moment decision, Gloria reveals a newfound secret to the group. They all head to the playground and watch a live stream of Seoul. With confidence, Gloria steps onto the playground and starts to dance. Miraculously, the monster in Seoul mimics her movements. NATO helicopters launch missiles at the monster, and Gloria can feel the impact. Still intoxicated, she punches the air, accidentally destroying one of the helicopters. Realizing the consequences, she panics and falls to the ground. Later, Gloria wakes up at home, hearing sounds of destruction on the TV. Oscar arrives with groceries, and Gloria anxiously asks how many people she killed with her fall. Overwhelmed by guilt, she contemplates turning herself into the police. When Oscar hands her the newspaper, they discover that a robot monster appeared in Seoul when Gloria fell into the playground. Seeking solace, they discuss their situation over breakfast at a nearby diner. They realize that the monsters only appear for Gloria and Oscar. Recalling a childhood memory, Gloria connects the appearance of the monsters with her walks to school years ago when the area was still under construction. She remembers a young Oscar walking behind her, holding his own project. The next morning, Gloria and Oscar wait on a bench near the playground, anticipating 8:05. Oscar admits to following Gloria's career since she left town. As the clock strikes 8:05, Gloria steps onto the playground, summoning the monster. She writes an apology message in Korean on the ground, promising that the monster won't return. Later that night at the bar, the news replays footage of the monster's message. Gloria watches while working. After closing time, Gloria, Oscar, and their friends gather for drinks. Joel excuses himself to the bathroom, and Gloria seizes the opportunity to ask for his address. Joel heads home early, followed by Gloria. They spend the night together, but the next morning, as Gloria prepares to leave, she sees on the news that the robot monster is causing chaos in Seoul's business district. In a rush, she grabs Joel, and they quickly drive to the playground. Oscar, in a drunken state, watches the live stream of Seoul on the playground. Gloria scolds him and urges him to leave. When he refuses, she slaps him. Later that night, as they close the bar, Oscar's emotions get the better of him. Videos of his robot being slapped by Gloria's monster go viral, and he suspects that Joel and Gloria had a romantic encounter. Fueled by alcohol, he confronts their friend Garth, suggesting he has a cocaine addiction, and rudely asserts authority over Gloria. Gloria has managed to stay away from drinking for a few days because she's afraid of getting drunk and ending up in the playground. Oscar takes this personally and puts down a beer, giving her an ultimatum. He says that if she doesn't drink it, he'll walk through the playground. Later, she pours the drink on the floor, refusing to give in. Oscar gets in his truck and heads to the playground. She tries to stop him, but he yells at her, claiming that his life is just as amazing as hers. In a desperate attempt, she chases after him on foot, and they both end up in the playground. At 8:05, Gloria punches Oscar, and they get into another fight. She decides to quit her job at the bar, but Oscar threatens her, saying he'll destroy a whole neighborhood if she doesn't return the next day. Back at home, Gloria struggles to sleep but starts to remember more about what happened 25 years ago when the monster first appeared. She recalls walking to school with a cardboard model of Seoul in her hands. Suddenly, it flew away in a gust of wind. The little boy with her, presumably Oscar, climbed a fence into a construction site to retrieve it. Later, Joel arrives at her doorstep with furniture from Oscar, claiming that they both regret their behavior from the previous night. Confused, Gloria rushes to Oscar's house seeking an explanation. Oscar's place is in disarray, with trash and beer bottles scattered everywhere. He apologizes for hurting her and breaks down in tears. He asks to be friends again, and she agrees, on the condition that he stops drinking late at night. When Gloria returns home, she discovers that Joel has cleaned and decorated her once empty living room with the furniture Oscar sent. Suddenly, Her phone rings, and it's Tim calling. Gloria meets Tim at a Holiday Inn hotel. He explains that he's in the area for work, but she sees through the lie, realizing he's just jealous. Their conversation turns into an argument when Tim insults her job as a waitress. However, he quickly changes his tune and offers to drive her to work. At the bar, Tim and Oscar meet. They sit down for a drink, and Oscar asks Tim what the most irresponsible thing to do in a bar would be. Tim doesn't have an answer, so Oscar pulls out a large firecracker from his backpack. He lights it, causing chaos as customers flee and things break, but fortunately, no one is seriously hurt. Oscar explains to Tim that he did the most irresponsible thing he could think of, but Gloria decides to stay at the bar with him. Tim is shocked and grabs Gloria's hand, trying to persuade her to leave. However, she refuses, knowing that if she doesn't obey Oscar completely, he will use his giant robot to destroy Seoul. Tim gives her an ultimatum, stating that he will leave town the next day and hopes she will join him. That night, after her shift, Gloria arrives home to find Oscar waiting for her, drinking a beer. She demands that he leave, but he refuses, saying he's there to ensure she doesn't leave town with Tim. Feeling trapped by Oscar's control over the monster, Gloria anxiously scratches her head, triggering more memories from that day 25 years ago. We learn that Oscar and Gloria were at a site together, where Oscar accidentally damaged Gloria's project. This made young Gloria very angry, and lightning struck her head, causing her to bleed. Oscar also got struck by lightning, and they both passed out. Gloria was holding a toy monster, while Oscar had a toy robot, resembling the monsters in Seoul. Gloria realizes that Oscar hates himself because his life seems dull compared to hers. She shares this with him and then calls Tim. Suddenly, alarms sound on the TV, indicating that it's almost 8:05. Oscar tries to leave, but Gloria hits him with a chair. They engage in a struggle, and eventually, Oscar flees through the window, jumping into a pool and disappearing into the streets. Both of them head to the playground, where Oscar violently punches Gloria, causing her to fall. Unable to stop Oscar, Gloria returns home and goes to bed. On the wall, her maps connecting Seoul and the playground are upside down, leading her to a realization. She quickly packs a bag, calls a cab, and rushes to the airport. Meanwhile, Oscar notices Gloria's absence and drinks heavily while waiting at the playground for 8:05 a.m., the only time he can control the robot. Gloria arrives in Seoul and calls Tim to reassure him that she is safe. Hanging up, it becomes apparent that Gloria is now in Seoul. Alarms sound, signaling the arrival of the monsters. Oscar steps onto the playground, unleashing the robot's rampage in Seoul. Korean civilians scramble to escape the enormous robot, while Gloria walks closer to it. Back at the playground, Oscar senses a rumbling as Gloria nears the robot. With her presence in Seoul, the monster appears in her hometown, right before Oscar. Panicking, Oscar tries to run, but Gloria reaches out and grabs the air. As if lifted by invisible hands, the robot floats. Oscar pleads to be released, but the monster hurls him into Seoul. The robot is thrown thousands of feet away, and in the US, Oscar's body is thrown in the same manner. The people of Korea celebrate, believing that the robot is defeated and will no longer pose a threat. Afterward, Gloria enters a Korean bar and invites the bartender to hear an amazing story, leaving the audience intrigued by what lies ahead.